So our learning target for today, I can find percents of a value using a tape diagram. So you've probably seen some tape diagrams before in the past using different ways of identifying fractions, using it to identify equations. They've used tape diagrams, but we're going to be using it now to identify percents and then incorporating that into fractions. So what I want you guys to do right now is I want you to take a look here at what we see. We have a tape diagram, so we have a model of a bar that's representing a value of 80, and then we have a tape diagram that is split up. So what I want you guys to do is tell me, what do you notice? You're going to just write down some things that you notice about this and some things that you are wondering, questions that you might have about it. So take 2 minutes, write down your thoughts. Richard? 80 is what? Okay, 80 was split into 4 sections. Okay, so you've got the 80 as the whole, and then below it you've got it split into 4 sections. I don't know if that's easy for you to see up on my board, but we have the same size of it, and it's been split into 4 sections. So what do you think that means each of those sections is worth? What do you think each section would be, Mario? 20%. Are you sure 20%? 25%. Yeah, that would be 25% for each section. Okay, because if you're splitting it into 4 sections, if we do 100% and we divide it by 4, that's going to come out to 25% per section. So each of these sections is 25%. What do you think each of them are worth, though? What is each section actually worth then? Zach? 20. So that you want to make sure you don't get confused with what the value is worth and what the percent is worth. So each of these is worth 20. Okay, now what they have highlighted or what they have shaded is going to be worth how much? Fatima? 60. And what percentage is that? Hassan? 75%. Okay, so this little percentage right here, that whole amount is going to be worth 75% of our value. So that means 75% of 80 is going to equal 60. 60 is 75% of 80. Okay, using the tape diagram, we're able to split that whole into segments. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to utilize that skill. Given information, we're going to break them up into tape diagrams, and we're going to use them to find parts of a whole, or the whole of, when we're given a part, find the whole, different ways like that. So in this example we have here, Jada has a puppy that weighs 9 pounds. Okay, so her puppy is 9 pounds. The 9 pounds, this, when they say this is, they mean that 9 pounds is going to be 20% of its adult weight. So I've got a tape diagram that I've positioned here, and with this tape diagram I have 9 pounds inside this first square, and right below it I have the idea that this little portion of my tape is worth 20%. This portion is going to be worth 20%. That's the adult weight, or 20% of the adult weight. So here's the adult weight. How did I know to go ahead and add a few more of these onto here? How do I know? Like, I only know that it's 9 pounds is 20%. How do I know to add 4 more of these boxes onto it, Jeffrey? Because you have to get to 100%. So this is 20, this is 20, 20, 20, 20. And when we count it all up, it equals 100%. So the adult weight of a puppy is 45. 45. How can you see that in the diagram? We can see it because we created 100%. Okay, so let's write that down. We created 100% by multiplying, right? Multiplying 20% by 5. So we know we had to create 5 sections. Since I had to multiply the percent by 5 to get 100, so this is 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%. Since I had to multiply 20% by 5, then I'm also going to have to multiply my 9 by 5. So I've got 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, which when I calculate that all together is going to equal how much? 45. So therefore, we can do 9 times 5, and that equals the 45. Okay, so that, not a percentage. So that equals the weight of the dog as an adult. Okay? Now, Jada's friend has a dog that weighs 90 pounds. So we've got a diagram here. We've got, yeah, it's a big dog. So here off to the side, we have Jada's dog, because we know Jada's dog is just 9 pounds. Jada's puppy. And then the friend's dog, we'll do that in a blue so it stands out a little bit better. We've got our friend's dog. This represents the friend's dog. So here's Jada's dog. Jada's dog is just that 9 pounds, and then the friend's dog. So I want to know how many times greater is the dog's weight than the puppy's weight? How many times greater is the dog's weight than the puppy's weight? Asia. 10 times greater, right? If we're looking, one of Jada's puppy's little tape diagrams can fit inside 10 different times. We've got it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different times. If we have those added together, that's going to equal to 90 pounds. So it is 10 times greater. It's going to be 10 times greater. So what we want to do now is we're going to compare the weight of the puppy and the dog using fractions. So we're going to use fractions. Okay? So if we're comparing the weight of the puppy versus the dog using our fractions, what fraction of the whole size of a dog is the puppy going to be? What fraction of the weight is the puppy worth? Fatima? 1/10. Okay, so the puppy is 1/10. And that would make the dog how much? 10/10 or 1 whole, right? The dog is 10/10 or just 1 whole. Now we're going to compare the percentages. We're going to compare their percentages. Okay, so the puppy, what percent is the puppy? What do each of these represent? What percent do each box represent? 10%, right? Each box is going to be worth 10%. 10%, 10%. Okay? Each of these is going to be worth 10%. So not to be confused with the pounds, it's 9 pounds for each of the boxes, but the percentage is different. These are each worth 10%. So what weight of the puppy, what percent is the puppy? Just 10%. The puppy's going to be at 10%, and the dog is going to be at what? 100%. Okay? All right, when you got that copy down, go ahead and flip it on over. All right, let's go ahead and flip it on over. So for here, Noah has $5. Noah's got $5. So what I need to do is I need to create a tape diagram that I can split this up. I need to split the $5 up into equal sections and use it to create a percentage that I know. So somebody raise their hand, tell me, what do you think would be an easy way to split $5 up? Into what kind of increments do you think would be easy? Go ahead, Asia. Okay, you could split it up into $2.50, and that would be what would the percentages be? If you split it into $2.50, it would be a $2.50, and then another $2.50 would add up to 5, so that would be 50%. Okay, that's one way we could do it. What's another way? Fatima? 50 cents. You could split it up by 50 cents. Okay, if you did 50-cent increments, you could do that. Then what percent would that each be? In fact, let's go ahead and do that. Let's do that one. Let's split it up into 50-cent increments. So if we do 50 cents, then we're going to do another 50 cents. We want to keep going until we get up to $5, right? That's $1. Here's $1.50. Here's $2. $2.50. $3. $3.50. $4. And then $4.50. Did I do enough? Huh? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then $5. Okay, so if we split it up like that, count them all out, what percent would each of these represent then? Hassan? 10%. Right? We've got 50 cents in each of these boxes. If we add all 50 cents up, that's going to equal $5. There's a total of 10 boxes. There's a total of 10 boxes here. 10 boxes, so that means you take 100, divide it by 10, and you would have 10%. There's another way you could split it up. Who wants to tell me another way that we could split it up? Richard? Well, it's already a 5. So what? $1 increment. So split it up into $1 increments. Okay, so let's draw another one up here, because I want to show you that the way that you split it up is all going to be the same, but how you split it up might make some problems a little bit easier to see than others. So if we split it up into 5, so we've got $1, another $1, another $1, another $1, and my box is really big here. Okay, so there, we've got my $5. So each of those would be worth, what percent would each of those be worth? What percent? They'd each be 20%. Okay, so if we take 100%, we've got 5 sections. If I take 100% and divide it by 5, then that means each of these are 20%. Here, if I took that 100 and divided it by 10, they each come out to 10%. Okay, so each of these are 10%. Each of these 50 cents are going to be the 10%. So there's different ways that you can split it up. And just like Asia had said, she's like, oh, we'll split it up by 250 if I just divide it into half. So then that would be 50%. Okay, now the more detailed you get, the smaller the percent each portion is worth, the more detailed it becomes, your tape diagram can become. So here, let's look at question A. Elena has 40% as much as Noah. She's got 40% as much as Noah, so how much does Elena have? So if we're talking about 40%, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight her in green, because I've got 2 different ones I'm focusing on. So Elena has 40% of Noah's. So here's Noah's. I want to find 40%. How many boxes do I need to highlight to find 40% for this box? How many boxes, Mario?
2.
So if I highlight 2 boxes, that's 40%?
Oh, 4.
4. Were you looking at the top one?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Hey, so for the top one, we would just highlight 2 boxes, right? The top one, I would just highlight the 2 boxes. That's 40%. For the bottom one, I would highlight 4 boxes, right? Now, let's check to make sure, are they going to come out to the same answer? What is $1 plus $1? $2. What is 50 cents plus 50 cents plus 50 cents plus 50 cents? $2. So it doesn't matter which diagram you decide to go with. They're both going to result in the same answer. Okay? So we're going to have $2. Yeah. Huh? If you chose 250, it wouldn't work out very well, would it? Because if you're trying to find 40%, then you'd have to be like, okay, well, now I got to break that 50% up into 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Okay, so it's easier. Like I said, it's easier when you break them down into smaller percentages. Okay? She called you out like that. She's just like, well, if we went with Asia's, you know. So $2. $2 is 40% of Noah's $5. Okay? $2 is 40% of the $5. So this is our answer. She would have $2. Now, we're going to compare Elena's and Noah's money using fractions. We're going to compare them. So really, we're just going to focus on making Elena's into a fraction. What fraction of Noah's is Elena's value going to be? So if we're looking at hers, looking at the top, what fraction would this be? How many boxes were there total? 5. And how many did we highlight? 2. So 2/5. So if we did it this way, it'd be 2/5. If we use the other one, we highlighted how many boxes? 4 out of how many total? 10. And if we did 4 over 10, that would simplify to 2/5. Okay? So we know Elena's 2/5. Her fraction would be 2/5, whereas his would be 1/2. Right? Now let's take a look at Diego. Diego's a little bit different. We're going to go ahead and highlight Diego's in pink. Because I don't want to have to draw this all out again. I'm sure you don't want to draw it all out again either. So we're just going to highlight his values that we do in pink. His values is 150% as much as Noah's. So is his going to be smaller or bigger? Bigger. His is going to be bigger. He's 150%. So not only is he going to have 100% of it, but he's also going to have an extra 50%. So it's a good thing I've got 2 diagrams. He's going to have all of this. He's going to have 100% plus an additional 50%. If I need to do another 50%, how much more do I need to highlight? Huh? No, if I need to do another 50%. So I've already done one hole right here. Look at the percent. How many more boxes? I need to do 5 more boxes. I need 50% more. I just need 5 more boxes more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more boxes. So he's got all of this plus all of that, right? This is 100% he's got here. This is his 100% he's got. This is his additional 50% that he's got. That's his 100%. So 100% is going to be $5 plus the additional 50%. How much was the 50% worth? $2.50. So when we add that together, his 150% is going to equal how much? $7.50. Does that make sense? So you've got to figure out, okay, I know 100%, and then I need to figure out what's the additional percentage above that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and skip part B. I want to move on because there is an activity I want you guys to be able to do. Let's go on to problem 5. Let's go on to problem 5. Everybody got this copied down? Okay. Here for problem 5, there's a tape diagram that shows how far 2 students have walked. So we have Priya's distance. Priya's distance is shown here with this tape diagram. Tyler's distance is shown using this tape diagram. Okay, so what we want to know, Priya, for each box is worth what percentage for Priya? We're just focusing on Priya. What percent is each of Priya's boxes going to be worth? So how many boxes does she have? 5. She's got 5 boxes. So if we split the percentage up by increments of 5, what is each box worth? 20, right? It's going to be 20%. I'm going to go ahead and do this one in green. Hers are each going to be worth 20% because she's got 5 boxes. If we take 100% and divide it by 5 parts, that's going to be equal to 20. If we take 100%, stop lint rolling. If we take 100% and we divide it by 5, that's going to equal 20. So each of these boxes is worth 20%. So what I want to know is what percentage of Priya's distance did Tyler walk? What percent of Priya's distance did Tyler walk? So Tyler, he only walked 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes, right? So what percentage is that? 80%. If we're looking at it, 80% is what Tyler walked. Now we're going to reverse the problem. This time we're going to focus on Tyler. What percent are each of Tyler's boxes worth? 25, right? Each of Tyler's boxes is worth 25% because if we take 100, guys, those of you who are talking, stop. If we take 100 and we divide it by the 4 boxes that he has, those are each 25% then. Okay, if we take his 100% and split it up by 4 boxes, that's going to come out to 25%. So now I want to know what percent of Tyler's distance did Priya walk? So Priya, she walked all of Tyler's distance, didn't she? Yeah. Plus an additional amount, didn't she? So if she walked, if we know, okay, this is 25, 25, 25, 25, what is this last little bit going to be then? 25. So she's got an additional 25%. So how much total percentage did she walk? 125%. Okay, so you're using these to compare. 80%, she walked 80% of Tyler's value, or I'm sorry, Tyler walked 80% of Priya's value. Priya walks 125% of Tyler's value. All right, let's go to the last page. What you're going to be doing here is you're going to create your own tape diagrams. It's helpful to answer these questions first before you create the scenario. So the gas tank in a car holds 16 gallons. The gas tank in a truck holds 25% more. I want to know how much gas does the truck's tank hold. So the first thing I want to ask you, what percent are you seeing? What percentage in the problem do you see? 25. We see the percentage 25. Now, what fraction is that out of 100? 25% out of 100 is what as a fraction? 1/4. If you do 25 over 100, that's going to equal 1/4. That is 1/4. So based off of that, how many sections do we need to create for our tape diagram then? 4. We need 4 sections. And then how many gallons will each section of the tape be? 4. Very good. Because you've got 16 gallons for the car, right? So you're going to take 16 and divide it by the 4 sections. That's 16 gallons divided by the 4 sections. That means each section is going to be worth 4 gallons. Okay, so when I create my tape diagram, This is going to be worth 4 gallons, 4 gallons, 4 gallons, 4 gallons. Okay, this represents the car. This represents the car. Now, the truck holds 25% more than the car. The truck is going to hold 25% more than the car. So if it's 25% more, then that means it's 125%, isn't it? If it's 25% more, it's going to be 100% plus an additional 25%. So each of these is worth 25%, 25%, 25%, 25%. Okay? Now, we know that the truck is going to equal the car 100% plus the car's 25%. So what was the car's 100%? 16, right? The car's 100% is 16 gallons, isn't it? What's 25% of the car? 4 gallons. So how much is the truck going to be? 20 gallons. Okay? It's difficultly easy. So again, you're having to look at the fact that it says it's 25% more. It's 25% more than what the car was. So we know the car represents 100% of the situation. So we know that we have to do 100% of that situation plus a 25% increase in it. So we've got 16 gallons for the car plus 4 additional gallons to represent that 25% increase. That's 20 gallons total. These little questions will help you to build your tape diagram. You will not have these questions next to you all the time. These are questions that you should be embedding in your head. I have them here in the notes, but these are questions you should learn to ask yourself when you create your tape diagram. So go ahead and do the next 2 problems on your own. Answer these questions first before you build your tape diagram and then respond to its prompt. All right, so Mandy purchased a new car. The gas tank in her new car holds 20% fewer gallons than her old car. If her old car's gas tank held 15 gallons, how many gallons does her new gas tank hold? So the first thing that we need to do, what is the percentage that we see here? 20. We see 20%, and it's 20% fewer is what we're looking at. But we see the percentage 20%. What fraction is 20% out of 100? 1/5, right? If we do 20 over 100, that's going to equal 1 out of 5. So how many sections do I need to create? 5 sections. I need to create 5 sections. Okay, so how many gallons is each section going to be worth? 3. Good, because we're going to take that 15 gallons. We're going to take the 15 gallons, and we're going to divide it by the 5 sections. And that's going to equal 3 gallons for every single one of our sections in the tape diagram. So we're going to go ahead and draw our little tape diagram. We're going to have 3 gallons, split that up, 3 gallons, split that up, 3 gallons, split that up, 3 gallons. Ooh, mine, see, again, doesn't look perfect, but it's okay. All right, so I have my 5 sections here. Okay, and each one of these sections, again, is worth 20%. So I'm going to identify that they're each 20% up here. Now, the question says that her new car is 20% fewer. 20% fewer. So what do I have to show in order to do 20% fewer? Subtract 20%. So I'm going to take 20% off. I'm going to take 20% off. To show it's 20% fewer, I'm going to remove one of the 20%, which means what is remaining is the size of her new tank. What is that value? 12 gallons. Okay, so we're going to stop here.